I'm Doug Frank, Vice Commander with American Legion Post 162. Today is February 18th, 2014, and we're here to have a conversation with Mr. William Kay, a World War II Army veteran of the Pacific Theater. A little bit about where and when you were born?
Bergenfield, January 27, 1924.
Wow, so you just had your 90th birthday.
Right.
Congratulations.
Thank God.
And did you grow up in Bergenfield?
I don't know. I spent very little time there. I guess when my father got the tuberculosis, nobody wanted us to be near him because it was contagious at that time. And he went up to Otisville, and my parents were born in East Harlem, 128th Street, between 2nd and 3rd Avenue. And that's where I was raised for quite a while.
So in New York City. You mentioned your dad served in the Navy during World War I.
Right.
Okay. And then he came back to Bergenfield, and then that's where you were born, and
yeah.
Then you moved over to New York City?
Well, yeah. Well, I guess he moved the family out, but then, like I said, once they determined that he had tuberculosis, nobody wanted to be near anybody or be near him. Yeah. So, like I said, he went up to Otisville, to a veterans hospital, and stayed there. And again, like I said, I only saw him maybe 5 times.
So you were living in New York up until the beginning of the war?
Yes. Let's see. I graduated high school there, Clinton in the Bronx, in whatever it was. I went to Fordham Clinton in 41, September of 41. I started my freshman year at Fordham. And I asked to be majoring in economics, but then there was an ROTC class in there also once a week, which, thank God, when I think about it, helped out quite a bit, because it was the first time I had a gun in my hand. In fact, I'm left-handed, and when I put the rifle, like we'd have practice, the sergeant, it was a sergeant, you can't shoot left-handed, you got to shoot right-handed. I said, I'm left-handed, I got to shoot left-handed. So he said, okay, go ahead, shoot left-handed. And that's what I did.
And so were you at Fordham when you went into the Army? Were you drafted? Or
drafted.
And when was that? Do you remember?
Well, when I got out in 45, I think 43, I think it was. 43? Early, maybe the first or second month. Oh, after I finished my first year at Fordham, okay. I got the notice. Yeah. And then I went out to Upton for a while in Long Island. Then went down, I had a medical to take, you had to take a medical. And I wanted to be a paratrooper. So that when the doctor looked over, I ran into a car playing football on the Bronx. Ran into the side of the car and broke my nasal in there. When he saw that, he said, you ain't going to be a paratrooper. So I wound up in the artillery. I went to Fort Bragg, and that's where I got the basic.
And that was basic training, and then was artillery at a separate place?
Well, Fort Bragg was basic. Now, how did I wind up with, I don't know how I wound up with the 38th Infantry, to be honest with you. Anyhow, where did I meet them first? Louisiana it was. I forget, Camp Livingston, I think it was the name of the place where they were based.
Okay. And that's where you joined up with the artillery? And where else were you before you went overseas?
Well, just there, That was Fort Bragg, and stayed with that outfit until we left New Year's Eve out of New Orleans, because I'll never forget this. An ocean liner came into dock, all lit up, and I get, what the hell's the matter with these people? But then there was a big sign, España, and in those days, Germany wasn't shooting anybody that was Spain because they were neutral. So but the music, everybody came to hear the music, you could see the people dancing. But anyhow, it was a good outfit, good outfit.
Now, did you leave from Louisiana by ship?
By ship to New Guinea.
Right, directly to New
Right.
Guinea. And when you got to New Guinea, what was it?
Well, we were up in the hills, and I don't think we saw much. We did a lot of practice, and I don't know how long we were. We weren't there in New Guinea that much, maybe 6 months, if that long. Then we came and we landed at Leyte and went up in the hills again. But there was one very strict order. We had to go drive through the pineapple fields. And they said, if anybody jumps out to take a pineapple, you're going to get court-martialed. Because that was a big product for the Hawaiian Islands then.
What did you? What type of? You said it was field artillery.
105.
So 105
howitzer.
Howitzer.
Yeah.
What was your job?
I was first gunner.
Mm-hmm. And what did that mean? What did you
Well,
do?
pull the trigger.
Oh, okay.
Pull the lanyard.
Mm-hmm. And how many guys would be on it?
Oh, I had my basic on a 155, but I wound up with the 105, which was good. 155 was more, well, they were both howitzers, but the 155 was where you could look up at the stairs, like shoot over the hill or something like that. Uh-huh. The 105, you could have direct fire, but it was faster and further that the shell could go, according to the amount of the bags that you put into the with a shell casing.
And how big of a crew would be on a 105?
Let's see, gunner, 1, 3, 4. 4 people, yeah.
Could that be pulled behind the Jeep? Is that?
Well, it was a truck, really, yeah. Because I remember when we, let's see, after Leyte, went to Luzon and landed at Tacloban, the town that had the big hurricane yes. Fairly recently. And I was the last one to mount up. So I rode on the barrel of the howitzer of the gun for 10 miles, whatever the hell it was. And I hung on for dear life. That was a stupid thing to do, but at least we talk about it.
Bill, you mentioned that about the snipers in New Guinea and how the officers. Could you tell that story? Would you just talk
Well, it took to the officers. This was the officers in the 149th, not in the artillery.
They were in the infantry.
Yeah. But they, like I said, they learned the hard way. They used to have their markings on the front of their helmet. In fact, I brought my helmet home. I don't know what the hell I did with it. But then, like I say, they turned it around, but then the snipers had no problem seeing who's who. Mm-hmm. So they picked on, that. Till after all, after learning something, they just have their steely on with no marks at all, and took off everything to make them, look like an officer.
You mentioned that you served alongside Australian troops
in New Guinea.
Can you tell us about
well, that? Yeah, I guess you could put it that way, sir. Some of the officers would come in to advise us what the terrain was out there because they were familiar with it. And like I said, we weren't in there that long, maybe 6 months possibly. And then as the war progressed and we were pushing the Japanese out of wherever they were going, then we landed in Leyte, which was south of Luzon. Stayed there for, can't remember how long, maybe, let's see, I went into the Army in 43, 44, maybe late 43 maybe, moved to Luzon. Okay. Like I said, landed at the Tacloban, had to ride up into the mountains, and what?
Did you serve with any other troops, Filipino troops, or?
No.
No? It was
no.
all U.S. Army
Yes.
the whole time?
Yes.
No Marines?
No.
No.
Thank God. They were, well, that's the way they were trained. Hey, don't worry about the machine gun shooting at you. You gotta take them out. That was their motto. I was thankful in the way that I was in the artillery. I liked it.
Bill, how often were you involved in actual combat and firing artillery? Was it most days?
Oh boy.
Or was it,
I see you. Yes, I see you.
from time to time? Was the fighting constant and intense, or was it?
No. Like I said, when the infantry pushed them further north, way out, then we followed up to give them the advanced firefighter. The forward observation party would go ahead and pick out a spot that they deemed safe for themselves, and then in radio contact would pick out targets for the infantry. Like there was one place, Zigzag Pass, that went like this, like back and forth. It was a roadway. And the infantry would take one section, and the Japanese would fall back. And it was, that 149th took a hell of a beating. But, hey, it was a war.
How far, what was the range of a 105 howitzer?
Oh boy.
Was it a mile or something like that? Because if you were doing, was it direct support of the infantry?
Yep. Well, I think it probably might have been, it could have been, it would go a mile, yeah. But oftentimes it was very close fire ahead of our infantry, because that's the way they wanted it. It's the way it had to be.
And did you take many casualties in the artillery group? Were the Japanese able to retaliate and fire back at you?
No.
It was mostly your infantry that was taking the beating?
There was, well, once it got a little difficult, which was rare, then it would fire at a volley fire. All 4 guns, all 4 howitzers would concentrate on that specific target. And that's the way it went. Got to give credit to the forward part. All of the 3 or 4 people they had nobody protecting them or anything like that. They said it'll lay under cover and observe. What they thought was, well, found out that when they got heavy fire. But I remember, there was one time we had rapid fire, all 4 guns. I wasn't, whatever happened, when we got this quarter, rapid fire, everybody, I got there late at my position to pull the lanyard. So Jack Helfrich, big, strong guy from Pittsburgh, he'd shove the shell casings, put the powder in, throw the shell to me. I'd ram it into the barrel, boom. And that went on for maybe a half hour. But then the word came down and said, "You wasted all that ammunition," because the shells were going all over the place. The gunner didn't have really, well, we didn't give the gunner time to level the bubbles. So, because it said rapid fire, and that's what they got. But it worked. It worked. I guess some of them must have hit the targets.
So you were in the Philippines then until were you in
Philippines,
the Philippines
yes, till well, yeah, till we shipped home.
And do you remember where you were when you heard the war in Europe was over, which would have been early May of 1945?
Let's see. When we came back, where the hell did I go? We landed in L.A. or California, someplace. Took the train across country. And that was 45. What did I say? I got out 11/10/45. So I guess the war must have ended maybe mid-45, possibly.
Well, beginning of August.
August, okay.
The war in the Pacific
All right,
ended.
all right. So when I went to, where did I go back to Upton? I really don't remember. Came in, took the train to New York. I think we got discharged when we landed in California. And then took the train, and Jack, like I said, got off at Pittsburgh, and I came to New York, took the subway train home, carrying my duffel bag.
And this was in
11/10/45.
45. And you were still living in, where you said, in the Bronx?
In the Bronx.
Okay. And what did you do after you got out?
Well, I went back to Fordham. I completed my first year at Fordham. Went back to Fordham and stayed there. Came out. Became a teacher. Oh, I went to college. I went to Hunter College. And then I had a night job. My mother-in-law got me a night job for 20th Century Fox in the film developing lab. That was 4 till 12:20. So I went to school in the daytime, then come down, worked till I got my degree in phys ed. Became a teacher. Let's see. Yeah, I was living 147th Street and Tinton Avenue in the Bronx. Somebody recommended that I go to a school on 136th Street, which was only a 5-6 minute drive from my house. School for the socially and emotionally disturbed. And they were, believe me. But I got along with them. I got along with them pretty well. But I had to take them to the bus stop on Willis Avenue to make sure they get on the bus, because these guys they didn't give a damn about anything. Most of them.
And this is as a teacher you were doing this?
Yes.
You were already graduated and you were teaching?
Then after the bus, I'd come back. Did I go? I could have gone home, but I think I had to be at work on the night job, 4 o'clock. So I didn't have time to do anything. I'd jump in the car, go down to 54th Street between 9th and 10th Avenue. Park the car, go to work.
Bill, how long did you teach?
30 years.
30, and was all in New York City school system?
Yep.
You did, okay. And family? You got married?
Yeah.
Well, I know you have.
1952, married.
And
Debbie born in 53. My son born in 56. And Nancy in 60.
Okay. And when did you come out here to New Jersey?
Why did we come out here? Well, it was expensive in New York to begin with. What made me come to Jersey? It was nice. It was quiet. And
you came to New Jersey, you were still working in New York?
uh-huh.
Okay. And then you retired from the New York City school system?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank God. Come out smelling like a rose. Participated in, I think after 5 years, had a shop teacher, Lenny Potashnik. He was on the phone all day long. And every once in a while I speak to him, hey Bill, are you in the market? So I don't know how it came about, but the teachers union spoke to New York City that we want to get into the market. And they finally, after they reached an accord, you could put only $5% or less, or 3%, make your choice. So Lenny said, put 5 in, Bill. I said, nah, just 3% is enough to take out of my salary. And it worked out, believe me. It worked out beautifully, beautifully.
Bill, it says here that you were separated as a private first class, and you received the Asiatic Pacific Service Medal, the Good Conduct Medal.
No, well, that was a lie. I paid them for that.
The Philippines Liberation Medal, and I would assume you got the World War II Victory Medal as well.
Well, they're over there, wherever they are. You want to see them? You want to look at them?
I think we'll probably get some pictures of those after, and
all right.
We can bring them in. Looking back on your military service in the Army, what do you have to share with people as what that experience did for you in your life?
Well, you met all different kinds of people. What they thought, how they acted, what they liked, what they disliked. Like I say, my outfit was specifically from Kentucky. Had a couple of guys from Paducah, which I learned was up in the mountains. And they could, like I said before, they could shoot the eye out of a needle. There was one time we were in a position in the Philippines, and I think his name was Dixon. He was in the machine gunning crew, which used to go out maybe 100 yards to protect the perimeter. And there was it was a building like this, might have been like a little hut or a big hut. And he heard speaking, and then he realized it's Japanese, and he was maybe 50, 75 yards away. So one guy stuck up his head, boom, shot him dead. The other guy stuck up his head, boom, shot him dead. The other guy chipped up his head, shot him dead. 3 shots, dead. Like I said, he could anyhow. Really proved it. Then another time, Joe Colasini, heavyset guy, where the hell was he from? Pennsylvania, I think. Got a letter from his mother. His brother had been killed the week before. One time, we were in position, and Joe, I think he happened to see a Japanese soldier out there someplace, took off running after him, climbed up a hill, and it was on the other side. I didn't realize it. I heard a shot, and I went out and said, Joe, where the hell are you? And when I got to the top of the hill, I laid down, peeked over, and he was laying just over on the hill. He'd been shot right through the neck. So what the hell can I do? I have my carbine with me. I unloaded the, whatever you call that one.
Clipper magazine?
Yeah, the magazine. I tried to pick him up, but he was 200 pounds or more, dead weight, and he was dead weight. I tried to roll him over and maybe crawl, but I couldn't do it. So I just crawled my way back to the position, and 3 or 4 guys came out, and they went over the hill and grabbed him. I went with them and fired, like I said, my magazine, just to hopefully keep them from shooting back. And
did he make it, or did he die?
no, he was dead. That was a great shot, unfortunately. I guess it went up probably this way, someplace. But he was dead when I rolled him over.
And what was the largest battle that you were involved in the Philippines?
I guess Zigzag Pass was the roughest time for the infantry and for us. I mean, we had to be precise because we were dropping it maybe 50 yards in front of them as they went ahead. That was well, we didn't. I don't think we did much firing in the evening. Maybe just once in a while to keep them, let them know that we were still there. That was a tough one. But the time I said when somebody else grabbed a lanyard, and I was, the gun was, the gunner didn't have time to line up the bubbles, level the bubbles, which I didn't even think of, because the lieutenant said, fire at will, and everybody was so happy, hey, we don't care where the hell they go. Well, that's not true. That's about it.
And you served during the war, and what did you take away from that, from spending time with all those guys from Kentucky? And did you enjoy your time in, or was it?
Well, Sergeant Adams, first sergeant, he was a tough SOB. I don't think he liked Northerners, to be honest with you. Captain. I can't think of his name, but anyhow, one time we pulled into a spot like an open field, and I went out to see the machine gun crew because Sergeant Moore, I became very friendly with. Captain came. There was a strict rule about mosquitoes, sticking you and giving you malaria. So you're supposed to keep everything inside, buttoned up. So I took my shirt out because I was sweating like hell. He came after me with Sergeant Adams. You're court-martialed. Took me to, same day, only an hour. Let's see, it was Lieutenant Colonel, I forget his name. But in my free time, in Leyte, we used to play baseball, and I used to like to pitch. And Lieutenant Colonel was right behind the backstop. He was looking at me, waving his hand and whatever. So the Captain, whatever the hell his name is, hey, he disobeyed a law, shirt tail outside of his jacket, and Lieutenant Colonel was listening and listening. And he stopped and said, Private, you're dismissed. The captain, he was sputtering, he couldn't believe it. So the colonel said, Captain, take it easy. I dismissed, I left, I went, backed up, slooped, about face, went back. Next day, they put me in Sea Battery. He got rid of me, which was all right with me.
Bill, how did you get associated with the American Legion Post in Hillsdale?
It's a good question.
Was Vince McCarthy?
Well, yeah, I guess first with Vinny or Neil Herring. I used to play softball there with a group of fellows, and Neil used to pitch for the other team. So through him, I learned about, I think, through him, the Post. And he said, why don't you come over and, look out. I went over there and joined up. But I wasn't much of a participant.
And you played sports in Hillsdale, did you play?
Hillsdale, yeah.
And were you living in Hillsdale?
No, Woodcliff Lake. On the east side. Moved to the west side. Debbie came when I looked at this house. I called Debbie. She called her sister. And Francesca came and checked the place out. And Debbie said, yeah, I think I can live here a couple of years. I'll never forget that. And that's that.
Well, Bill, thank you very much for the conversation, and thank you for your service to our country.